engineers. The Louisiana legislature has been ordered to draw a new congressional map with a second majority black district. Louisiana's legislature passed the map in February of 2022 that left 5 of the state's 6 congressional districts with white majorities, then overrode a veto of the map, which led to a lawsuit from civil rights groups. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Make your next lunch a lunch combo from Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from wings, street tacos, and more. Head to Buffalo Wild Wings or order online at buffalowildwings.com. At participating locations for a limited time, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation vary by location. Taxes extra. See menu for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Lakers beat Portland last night without LeBron. A left calf contusion kept LeBron in street clothes. In his absence, the Lakers got 30 points and 13 rebounds from Anthony Davis. There are some serious issues going on with the Clippers. Memphis handed the Clippers their 5th straight loss. The Clippers are 0-4 since trading for James Harden. Harden had only 11 points. He was 4-12 from the floor, including just 1 for 7 on three-pointers. The Chargers scored touchdowns on their last 5 possessions Sunday, but still lost to the Detroit Lions. How is that possible? The Lions got a field goal at the buzzer to win it at SoFi. The Chargers defense gave up 533 yards in total offense and allowed the Lions to make 4 fourth-down conversions. Going to be a long week for the Chargers defense in the film room. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net. And together, we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
With the foes and the moles, walk to the store for the rolls, talking straightforward, y'all. Got uncles that smoking, some put blow up their nose to cope with their lows. The wind is cold and it blows. In they socks and they soles, told in they rolls. Corners leave soles opened and closed, hoping for more with nowhere to go. Rolling in droves, they shoot the wrong way cause they ain't knowing they go.
I'm Tavis Smiley. In this hour, two great conversations. On the B-side, Prince has not just a rich musical legacy, but a philanthropic legacy as well, which includes Live for Love charities. His former wife, Prince's former wife, Mai-Tai Garcia, dancer, actress, author. Mai-Tai joins us on the backside of this hour to talk about Prince's enduring philanthropic legacy. But we commence this hour with Sherman Dilla Thomas, who says that everything dope about America comes from Chicago. As I said earlier on today's program, that's funny because Spike Lee told me the same thing, that everything dope about America comes from New York City. At least in these 30 minutes, we'll hear the case for Chicago. Dilla, how you doing, man? Good to have you on.
Very, very honored to be on with you, brother Tavis. I appreciate it.
It's my great honor to have you on. You heard me say a moment ago, you say Chicago, Spike says New York. I don't know where the truth lies. But talk to me about why you believe that everything dope about America comes from Chicago.
Oh, I can eat Spike up in that in 2 seconds.
Okay.
You ask Spike Lee who's his mentor or who's the person he look up to, he's going to say Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Shaw happens to be the first black person in this country to make feature films. He did it right here in Chicago because he was a Pullman porter, which was made in Chicago. Spike has probably been to a number of meetings in what we call skyscrapers, the first one ever built in Chicago by a Chicago architect. Right now, you and I are talking on the radio. My man Jack Cooper is the first black on-air disc jockey in the history of this country, and he did that right here in Chicago. And that was just 60 seconds of talking to you.
Yeah, I know you got more. It is fascinating for me though. People who are born and raised in Chicago. And there are a few cities like this, New York, of course, being one of them, Spike, classic example. But for people who are born and raised in Chicago, they love Chicago. I mean, love it, love it, love it, love it. And even when they move away from Chicago, they still brag about Chicago. And wherever they move to, all the Chicagoans find each other, and they start a Chicago club, no matter where they live. What is it about Chicago that makes all these black people born and raised there love the city of Chicago?
Well, it's because we're the third largest city in the country, but it's still very condensed, right? Mm-hmm. So unlike, say, like a New York or unlike L.A., you got to drive 20, 30 minutes to get to another borough, or in L.A. get to the other side of town. Mm-hmm. You can pretty much get anywhere in Chicago when traffic is like in 15 to 20 minutes. And so we're very much connected as a city. But, just our shared experiences, on the one hand, we're like the most segregated city in the country.
Oh, yeah.
But out of that segregation creates these neighborhood pockets where there's very close allegiance. Most folks in a particular neighborhood went to this high school. So we just have a lot of different connections throughout the city that connect us as one city. And then, of course, living through the Jordan era, that gave us a bunch of pride. And then following that, Obama's historical election gave us more pride. Before that, it was the Harlem Globetrotters. And so the things we pioneer also, give us a lot of civic pride.
Yeah. I'm thinking as you were talking about my friend John H. Johnson, speaking of so many great things about Chicago. Mr. Johnson, of course, bought that building on Michigan Ave, as you know, and built that Johnson publishing empire, Ebony and Jet. And I used to, as long as he was living, I would never go to Chicago, ever. I'm in Chicago all the time for something. I love Chicago. But I would never go there without having lunch with him on the top floor of the Johnson Tower. On Michigan Ave, one, because the price was right, and two, it was the best lunch you could get, because they had good food there every day in his cafeteria. But I always go have lunch with him, and I remember him saying to me on more than one occasion, he bought this beautiful mansion out here in Palm Springs. I'm in California, of course. This program is heard across the country, including in Chicago on WVON. But he bought a beautiful mansion out here on top of a hill in Palm Springs, and he's sandwiched between Frank Sinatra on one side and Bob Hope on the other side. So here this Negro out of Gut Bucket, Arkansas, who's built this Johnson empire, buys this mansion on the hill between Frank Sinatra and Bob Hope. And I asked Mr. Johnson how often he would come out to Palm Springs. He said, well, Tavis, when I first bought the place, I went out there a couple times. He said, my wife and Linda go out there a lot more than I do. I went out there a couple times, Tavis. He said, but I realized that every time I went to Palm Springs, I spent all my time on the phone talking to Chicago. He said, I was in Palm Springs, but I was missing Chicago so much. I spent all my time in Palm Springs on the phone, checking in on things back in Chicago. And I just realized I just love Chicago more than I love Palm Springs. And I just stopped going. And so Linda and Mrs. Johnson, Eunice, and other family members would visit the house. But Mr. Johnson just stopped going because he would be in Palm Springs, but wishing that he was in Chicago. As I thought about that when you were sharing that story. When we come forward, I want to talk about Chicago as a cultural mecca, talk about the food, talk about the sports, talk about the music, talk about all the icons that are from this city, and talk more about Sherman Dilla Thomas being such a popular Chicago historian and what he does to put his city even more so on the map. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ.
This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfected like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat in the leg since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Dilly, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bussin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience, temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Beloved Entertainment presents Sweet Spot Live with me, Angelique Francis, at the beautiful Miracle Theater at 226 South Market Street in Inglewood on Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Join me with KBLA for short stories told live on stage with us, by us. Yes, our own storytellers straight from the neighborhood. Colorful and provocative live storytelling event celebrating our unique culture, our strength, our courage, our faith, and yes, our fire. We invite you to walk with us through the neighborhood, even run with us down our dark alleys if you dare. Just around the corner, there is laughter, unspeakable pain, secrets never told. But don't worry. The door is unlocked, and we're going to leave the porch light on. That's Sunday, November 19th at the Miracle Theater, 226 Market Street in Inglewood, 6 p.m. Yes, it is all happening right here in the Sweet Spot. Tickets available, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. We got a lot to talk about.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Sherman Dilla Thomas, who says that everything dope about America comes from Chicago. Chicago really is, Dilla, in a lot of ways, a cultural mecca. Talk to me about that part, as they say.
Well, I like to say that we're America's first baby, right? Because before New York, before there was a United States, there was a New York, right? Even before we did the Louisiana Purchase, there was a Los Angeles, but there wasn't really a Chicago as we know it as the American city until America had fully become America. And so people get to try their innovations out on this new novel American city. Because of that, we get a lot of different cultures anchored here. We have the only accredited Mexican American Art Museum, and because of our location, the Illinois Central Railroad, we brought black folks from the South to the North via the Great Migration. We got more black folks in our northern city than any of the other ones if you're looking at the numbers. And those black folks brought so much culture. We got Ida B. Wells and Frederick Douglass, and they helped establish NAACP here. They helped establish what we refer to now as the Urban League. There's, the only Puerto Rican heritage museum in this country is right here because of the Puerto Rican homies in Humboldt Park. We have the only still growing Chinatown in this country because the rest of the Chinatowns are kind of walled off by the Hudson River or, the Pacific Ocean, but ours is allowed to grow because the old folks are moving out of Bridgeport and selling it to Asian American homes. And so in all of these different enclaves, culture presents itself. And then because these cultures kind of wall themselves off, they get to stay true to where they come from. I was just talking to a Polish gentleman. He said the Polish food in Chicago tastes more like Poland than it does in Poland, right? And you know, so that's that. We've invented the Hibrito sandwich, right? We invented the Italian beef. We you know, Chicago style hot dog, deep dish pizza. All these things, they create themselves in these pockets of ethnic neighborhoods.
Yeah.
When you come to Chicago, you could travel the world without leaving the city.
You know, one of the things I think makes a city great, and here's where you may beat Spike on this again, that everything dope about America comes from Chicago. There are a number of things I think that a world-class city has to have to be a world-class city. You've identified some of these, but in a place like Chicago, you have great food. You tapped into that a moment ago. You have great sports franchises. You mentioned Jordan, but the thing about Chicago that always cracks me up is even when y'all ain't winning, which is most of the time. Let's just keep it real. Even
that ain't right.
But it's true. It's true. Now, I mean, obviously Jordan had a serious run, but my point is, and I'm not even being funny. I'm not even trying to diss Chicago. I'm saying this is love. Even when Chicago sports teams aren't winning, it's still a great sports town, and everybody still wants to go to the games and wants to hang out. And you got everything. Every major sport that there is has a couple outlets, of course, in the city of Chicago. So it's a great food town. It's a great sports town. You already mentioned it's a great walking town, but it's also a great music town. I was in an argument, not an argument. I was in a conversation not long ago. We were talking about New York and Chicago and some other cities for that matter. And here I am, not even from Chicago, but I love the city so much. And I just started, we got in this competition, starting to run down the list of all the great singers, all the great artists from these cities. And, man, I was wearing them out running the list from Chicago. I mean, every genre. They come from Chicago. It's like something in the water there. But again, to be a great town, you got great music, you got great sports, you got great food, all those stuff you mentioned, and Chicago has an abundance of all of those things, Sherman.
Not just that, but with the entirety of our lakefront is open and clear to the public.
Mm-hmm.
You can't run the entirety of Miami South Beach. There's just a section that they allow the public. The rest is private.
Mm-hmm.
All 27 miles of our lakefront is open and free to the public. So not only can you get Michelin chef food here, not only can you hear live jazz, live blues, live gospel, rock music, rap music, but then you can jet ski in Chicago too, right? I can't think of another.
Hey, three, yeah,
all of that.
Yeah, for 3 months. you can't do it. You can't do it for 3 months. The rest of the time you ice skating. And now, and since you went there, let me follow you. For people who love Chicago, even those who have left it, they love the city. They swear by the city. As I said earlier, everybody digs Chicago. But everybody who leaves that city will tell you the same reason they left, Dilla. You still there. Why you ain't left?
Man, now it's definitely cold. Now it is cold. There's a polar bear's toenails here in Chicago. Man, can't got nothing to say about it. They had that All-Star game here. You should have seen all the people. It was like 2 degrees, literally, and people was running from their cars to the venue.
Yeah.
So it definitely gets cold here. That's for sure. That would probably be the only drawback.
But you know what's funny though? I think I've said this many times, and I'll see how this works on you. I've said many times that I think that hawk, that those Chicago winters may be Chicago's saving grace, because that's the one thing that keeps more people from coming to Chicago is the cold weather. If y'all didn't have that cold weather, man, y'all might be overrun with people, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. So it gives us a tourism break. That's certainly it. But even outside of the winter, though, I was just looking because I went to the Book of Hove at the Brooklyn Public Library. I'm a real big Jay-Z fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the hotel rooms, and they double the cost of what it costs to come to Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, we're even less expensive than a lot of places, man.
Yeah. No, it's a great convention town, as you know. Always conventions coming to Chicago. Let me pivot for a second. I'll come right back. How do you respond to those? I just talked to your mayor, Brandon Johnson, not long ago. Love Brandon, known him for years, and I'm glad that he pulled that race out. But this is a question, of course, he's wrestling with every day as the mayor of the city. Here you are, a sort of de facto, de jure mayor of the city. You're doing all these walking tours, these historic tours. We'll talk about in a moment. These great tours that you do through the city of Chicago. But I'm curious as to how you respond. As a resident, you ain't the mayor, so you ain't got to wrestle with it every day, to the crime issue. It's a great city, but there's always this nasty narrative about Chicago vis-a-vis the crime.
You know how and I don't mean to be insensitive in the way that I answer it, because I think that people who lose their lives, people who are injured by violent crime, it shouldn't happen and they deserve some kind of justice.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess how I typically answer that is with a question. Hey, Brother Tavis Smiley, if I owe you $2.6 million and I tell you I'm going to keep 50, would you blink an eye?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not at all. You're going to say, run me my $2.5,990,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Chicago is. We have 2.6 million people here, and on our worst weekend, 50 people may experience violence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you put that in context in that manner, and we're not in the top 10 of any statistic as it relates to crime when you're looking at it per capita. And then the other thing is about our crime is it didn't just pop up in a vacuum, right? There are some systemic things we're affected very much by No Child Left Behind. That policy crushed our public schools. As we know, we closed 52 schools about a decade ago. And that forced kids to have to start going to schools a mile away from where they grew up. And when you go to school outside an area that you grew up in, you're going to get bullied or issues will present itself. And then there are no elders who know each other to quash the violence. And so the other part of it is there are people doing great, great work to try to mitigate that violence. There are, Ceasefire was an amazing program that for the first time in 20 years got the murders under 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a Republican governor and he stopped funding it. We got a Republican governor and he closed over 100 mental health facilities. We know that our houseless population suffers greatly because of mental health facilities. And, we want to police the crime out, but we don't want to address the mental health facilities. We don't want to reopen those schools in neighborhoods that would keep kids from crossing these arbitrary gang boundaries, which would keep them safe, right? We can't ignore the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just some of the things that I feel about crime, but it certainly is far from what they make it out to be.
Yep. Why? I'm not naive in asking this. But why is Chicago? You raised it earlier. Why is Chicago still so segregated? I ask that in part because I've traveled across the country, of course, and there are many cities I've been to over the course of my career, and I've been doing this long enough where I can see the shifts that are taking place in certain cities. For example, here in L.A., South Central ain't as black as it used to be, right? And there are other parts of the city I could talk about in L.A. and other cities, again, around the country that I've traveled to over the course of my career, and I can see certain shifts. In Chicago, that segregation is stubborn. Why is it still so segregated?
Some of it's passed down, right?
Right.
There's certain neighborhoods that people feel like if they allow black folks, brown folks into those neighborhoods, then they'll lose their ethnic identity of those neighborhoods. And so when that's told, when the grandma tells that to the kid and the kid inherits the property, he's a little slow to rent to black and brown folks because he thinks that's going to pull the Irish out of the community or pull the Polish out of the community. So some of that is an issue. The other thing that keeps it very segregated is some of the policies. I would probably identify myself as a progressive, but the Progressive Party is terrible with messaging, man. Like, I don't know. They can never give just a concise message. And so the messaging of inclusion and integration, how they present it sometimes isn't palatable to the business owners and to the people who could integrate these spaces.
Yeah.
Most of the time it doesn't integrate. It flips, right? It'll go from one race of folks to another race of folks without them truly mixing. But then the origin, right? Chicago established it this way. Our 77 neighborhoods were named, numbered, and bounded by the University of Chicago's School of Sociology in the 1930s, and they used the boundaries of the restrictive racial covenants that were the law of the land here in Chicago. So what I'm basically saying is, like, the dividing line of two neighborhoods was written in race. And so, it got put in the system over the course of decades. It may take decades to break it.
Yep. All right, so I'm watching my timer. I got about 5 minutes left, a little less than that. Tell me about these walking tours that you do, since you obviously are huge and big on Chicago.
Well, yes, sir. I run Chicago Mahogany Tours. You can go on our website, chicagomahogany.com. We do walking tours. We also do bus tours. We don't do any downtown tours. We'll take you to the North Lawndale neighborhood, show you the block that Dr. King lived on during the Chicago Freedom Movement. We'll take you to the Pullman neighborhood, show you the neighborhood that gives Labor Day its origins. And, of course, we'll take you through beautiful Bronzeville, show you where Mahalia Jackson and Thomas Dorsey invented gospel music. We take you by Muddy Waters' house. I believe that once a person knows the history of a space, then they'll respect that space. And once you have respect, your perspective changes. And a lot of our kids on the south and west side of Chicago don't know that they're walking on hallowed grounds. They don't know that MC Travis was there. They don't know about John H. Johnson, right, and the empire that he started. They don't know even that Red Fox went to high school here. So we just I met a Chicago historian by the name of Tamil Black. He lived to be 102, and he challenged me to keep this history alive, so that's what I'm doing. And I also tell these Chicago history stories on my social media pages, TikTok and Instagram, at Six Figure Dilla.
Tell me why you accepted that entreaty. He challenged you, asked you to consider keeping the history alive. What pulled you in?
Probably just the lessons of my dad. He's no longer here anymore, but my dad once told me that it's okay to be a copycat so long as you're copying the right cat. And so Neil Black, he went to school with Harold Washington. He went to school with John H. Johnson, and I didn't want the stories that he told to die. Another thing my dad told me is that one day we'll all be dressed up real nice and in a pine box for the rest of the time. And so everything that you have inside, you should leave on the outside of that pine box. And if not me, who? Right? If not me, who?
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about doing these tours?
I love the expression on people's face when I tell them something comes from Chicago that they were not aware of, or something that they, just that shock and awe that I get, right? Letting people know the first ever commercial cell phone usage happened in 1981 inside of Soldier Field. And then, but just the neighborhood origin stories, right? We're from these neighborhoods. We live on these streets that have names. We go to schools that have names, and none of us ever stop to think about who is this person, right? Why is this street named this? Who gave this neighborhood that name? And just illuminating Chicago's past helps us have a bright future.
And how do you navigate the question that Barack Obama had to navigate consistently about the Cubs or the Sox?
Well, I try to be quite honest, right? I'm a South Sider, and I am a White Sox fan, but I'm also a Chicagoan, and, I'm raising kids in Chicago, so the better Chicago does, the better my kids are going to do. So I ain't mad when the Cubs win, right? When they win, we get tourism, we get a parade, they get to bid schools. So I'm a Sox fan, but I ain't mad at the Cubs.
Let me close by asking how do you rate raising a kid in Chicago these days?
It's very tough. I'll be very honest, right? Because of some of the issues that I mentioned a little earlier, right? Sure. You kind of got to really know where your kids are going to be. On the other part, it's a huge city, right? And so I don't believe in just boxing my kids in the neighborhood that we live in. We go to the north side. This is their city. They don't have to stay in one neighborhood just because this is where black folks stay. I want them to have the utmost respect for black folks and our history and our contributions. But I also want them to go to the Mexican hood, eat the best tacos in the country. I want them to go to Chinatown, drink the best tea in the country. We go ride our bikes on the lakefront. So we're really it's working out.
Shout out Mahogany Tours one more time.
Chicago Mahogany Tours. Our website is chicagomahogany.com.
There you go. You heard Dilla say at the top of this conversation, he believes that everything dope about America comes from Chicago. I'm waiting now for my phone to ring from Spike so he can make his case for New York City. But for now, Dilla, I thank you for your time, and I'm glad you're doing these tours. All the best to you, sir.
Hey, likewise. Thank you. You're a legend, my brother.
Good to have you on this program. Thank you for your time. We'll talk when we come forward with Matai Garcia about Prince's philanthropic legacy. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
Welcome, everyone, to a Monday. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott is suspending his presidential campaign. Scott made the announcement in an interview with Fox News on Sunday. He said, in part, now is not his time. The Reverend Al Sharpton is asking the Biden administration to reconsider its plan to ban menthol cigarettes. Sharpton's National Action Network sent a letter to the Food and Drug Administration citing Eric Garner, a black man who died in 2014 after a New York City police officer put him in an illegal chokehold. The officer had been trying to arrest Garner for selling untaxed loose cigarettes. The letter said that banning menthol cigarettes would create illegal markets and more police interactions, particularly in minority communities. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Make your next lunch a lunch combo from Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from wings, street tacos, and more. Head to Buffalo Wild Wings or order online at BuffaloWildWings.com. At participating locations for a limited time, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation vary by location. Taxes extra. See menu for details.
Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at BewareofRSV.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Lakers beat Portland last night without LeBron. A left calf contusion kept LeBron in street clothes. In his absence, the Lakers got 30 points and 13 rebounds from Anthony Davis. There are some serious issues going on with the Clippers. Memphis handed the Clippers their 5th straight loss. The Clippers are 0-4 since trading for James Harden. Harden had only 11 points. He was 4-12 from the floor, including just 1 for 7 on three-pointers. The Chargers scored touchdowns on their last 5 possessions Sunday, but still lost to the Detroit Lions. How is that possible? The Lions got a field goal at the buzzer to win it at SoFi. The Chargers defense gave up 533 yards in total offense and allowed the Lions to make 4 fourth-down conversions. Going to be a long week for the Chargers defense in the film room. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare? The new LA Care health plan called LA Care Medicare Plus, HMO DSNP, can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0 premium. LA Care is here to provide Angelenos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost. For $0 premium, you can get full benefits from vision coverage and in-home support services to prescription drug coverage, plus more. Call 855-688-1479. 855-688-1479.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its LA Repair Participatory Budgeting Program invite nonprofit organizations to submit proposals to turn community ideas into reality. More than $5.4 million is available to make a difference in the Arleta, Pacoima, Westlake, Skid Row, South LA, Leimert Park, and Harbor areas. Don't wait. Proposals are due on November 29th at noon. To apply, visit repair.lacity.gov. LA Repair gives people real power over real money. Visit repair.lacity.gov.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Prince, miss him dearly every day. He has obviously a rich musical legacy, but also a philanthropic legacy that includes Live for Love charities. Matai Garcia is a world-renowned dancer, actress, internationally best-selling author, and former wife, of course, of Prince, and she joins us right now to talk about Live for Love charities and Prince's enduring philanthropic legacy. Good to have you on the program, Matai. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. As I say all the time, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate, and I am. I'm just doing well, and always, always delighted to be in dialogue with anybody who was ever in Prince's circle. As you probably know, I knew that brother well, and spent a lot of time with him. As I said a moment ago, I miss him dearly. But I am I'm glad to have this conversation because there's always focus, as there should be, rightly so. So much focus on his musical legacy, and that is huge and always will be. And I think that imprint's going to get bigger as time goes on. But not a lot of focus on his philanthropic legacy. And I happen to know, obviously, from personal experience, that the things I worked on philanthropically, he would very quietly support and would often tell me, Tavis, don't tell anybody I'm doing this, but he would send a check for this, that, or the other. You know him better than I did. And so he had his own way about supporting things, but being very quiet about it. But I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the enduring nature of his philanthropic legacy. So with that said, I'll pass the mic to you. Take it away and talk about Live for Love charities.
Live for Love charities. Well, yeah, I mean, it started back in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
We were married, we were expecting, and we were really, really in a great place. And he wanted to share the love and help as much as possible. And I remember he walked into my office and he was like, I'm going to start a foundation called Love for One Another. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do it. What do we want to do? He goes, I don't know, but let's just form it and start helping children and homeless. And there was just a list of things that he wanted to do. And we did it. You know, we would have people bring jackets to concerts, and we would have inner city children come to Paisley Park. And it was just a constant thing of children with cancer, animals. It was kind of everything.
Yeah.
And he continued that foundation. And then I found out after he passed that he had left me on the board. Now, we changed the name because we had to, and I think it's a great name, Live for Love, which is another song that he wrote, and kind of the mantra of living. You know, you gotta help others. And our mission statement now is helping people up and helping people out. We're helping other foundations. We're doing right now a 10 for 10, 10 foundations or charities or people that are doing good. We're going to give them $10,000. We're also starting Live for Music, which is next year. We're going to have a whole bunch of children who have the talent, but they don't have the means. We're going to give instruments. We're going to give teachers that are from Berkeley and that Grammy Award-winning musicians that are willing to do this. It's just an awesome program that we're starting and this charity that we're doing.
Yeah. How much of his walking in your office that day? I'm fascinated by the backstory of these things, and I'm glad to have you share it with us. How much of his wanting to start this charity on behalf of children you think was connected to the fact that you mentioned that you all were expecting at that time?
Yeah, I mean, it was something he always did. I mean, I used to see him before we got married help Margaret Collins, and you know, it was always about children, but it was accelerated when we were pregnant. He really wanted to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that hand we have on our logo, it was our son
Mm-hmm.
Pan, Amir. You know, and it was a beautiful time, and I want to share that.
Yeah. You sound like you're willing to share this, and if you're not, I certainly understand, and I don't want to press my tie in any direction that you don't want to go. But how did that name get chosen?
Love for one another, or
No,
live for love?
Amir.
Oh, Amir.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Amir means prince in Arabic. So
Yeah.
but we didn't want to have a Prince Jr. And I always liked that name because my belly dance name was Princess Maite, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was always kind of this thing. And I remember bringing it up to him, and he was like, "Yep, that was it." It was just a quick, "Yep,
Wow.
that's what we're gonna do."
It was that simple and that easy.
Oh yeah, wasn't even like, didn't even take 5 minutes for him to, not even 30 seconds. He was like immediate. It was like, "Yep, that's it."
Now I'm laughing because again, you were married to him. I was not. I'm just his friend. But things with him never happened that simple or that easy. I mean, it's like this guy is a genius for a reason. He would go over something and go over it and over it and over until he got it right, till he got the way he wanted it. And here you come at this story that something that significant was like so easy.
Well, I mean, I got that side of him. I did see him on the work side and the creative side, but when it came to family, and I mean, how quickly we got pregnant, and then, you know, he just, when I told him he was doing the Muppets, I'm like, "You're doing the Muppets." And he was like, "Yep, I'm doing the Muppets." It was a whole other side that I'd never seen, and I was like, "Wow, this whole marriage thing's amazing."
Yeah.
You know?
Well, obviously he heard the old adage, happy wife, happy life. So he must have heard that and understood that. I want to come back to the charity in a second here, but what have been your takeaways all these years later from not just being exposed to someone? I could write a book, and maybe one day I will, about all the lessons I learned from Prince, just being exposed to him, because it's just rare that any of us get that sort of access, that sort of proximity to a genius of his stature. But you didn't just have access; you were married to Prince. And so, what have been some of your takeaways over the years of just being exposed to that level of genius day in and day out?
Wow, to do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to do things that you're passionate about, to move forward. You know, he never stayed. I remember him always saying, "Oh, I'm going to change my hair." And, you know, when you go short, I'm like, first off, I'm never going to cut my hair. And he's like, "Don't say that, because you're going to always change and evolve. And you may not like it, but you should always move forward and try different things."
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. You know, after I stopped talking to him, and I've led my life like that, to move forward and not look back.
Mm-hmm.
And to do what you love, what you're passionate about.
Yeah. No, it's great advice. You know, somebody once said that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Everything changes. That's that great song from Bernard Eichner.
Yep.
Everything must change. We have to choose to grow. And I think that's what Prince was pushing at. That, you know, you never know how things are going to work out, but you got to be willing to grow and to attempt different things. And so that's great advice. When we come forward, we'll talk more about Live for Love charities. Ty Garcia is our guest. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its LA Repair Participatory Budgeting Program invite nonprofit organizations to submit proposals to turn community ideas into reality. More than $5.4 million is available to make a difference in the Arleta, Pacoima, Westlake, Skid Row, South LA, Leimert Park, and Harbor areas. Don't wait. Proposals are due on November 29th at noon. To apply, visit repair.lacity.gov. LA Repair gives people real power over real money. Visit repair.lacity.gov.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Continue our conversation now with Maytai Garcia, the former wife of Prince, well-renowned dancer, actress, and international best-selling author in her own right, running the Live for Love charities that she and Prince started back in the day when they were with child. The award recipients will be announced on December 17th, so just a few weeks from now. They'll be announcing these 10 organizations that are receiving this money to continue doing the work that they do. Tell me more, Maytai, about the core values of. Actually, before I do that, you mentioned earlier, and I agree. You said it before I said it that I love the name Live for Love. You had to change the name of the charity after his passing for various reasons. I get that. I think the audience understands that part. But why Live for Love, and what does that mean? I love the name of it, but what does that mean to you per se?
I mean, that's how you should live your life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do everything with love. You know, if somebody's having a bad day, you got to give them some extra love, you know, because they're going through it, and just have that compassion for others in everything, which I think is the perfect way to live.
Yep. So you mentioned some of these organizations earlier, the kinds of organizations rather that are going to get this support, this financial support on December the 17th. But tell me more about the core values of the foundation itself.
You know, I mean, it's helping. It was funny because we kept trying to think, do we do children? Do we do homeless? Do we do music? And we just came up with helping people up and out. And through that, you know, giving children an opportunity to see different options. You know, like for me, I was born in the military, and I was just in a base, and I never realized that if I stepped out of that, I could see something that I wanted, and I did it. You know, I became a professional dancer. So it's just giving hope, and that they're loved, you know, in everything, homeless, education, kind of everything that we can think of. As long as it comes from love, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, no, I love it. Speaking of you being a dancer, I wanted to go there, so I'm glad you went there. How did dance become your muse? You know, I started very early on. It gave me a sense of confidence. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican, and I was raised in the military, and I remember everybody wondering if I was white or black. Puerto Rican wasn't very common back in the day. I just turned 50, by the way. And, you know, now it's, of course, you see, thank you. But, you know, I remember feeling like, where do I belong? And through dance, I just felt that sense of confidence, and it helped me growing up. And it just was something with, and I feel it. and it heals. I have this saying, dancing heals. It heals the soul, heals the spirit.
Yeah.
This is music. I mean, without music, you can't dance.
Yeah.
It's all connected,
Yeah.
And since I was 3 years old, I was dancing.
Yeah. When Prince became Jehovah's Witness, it made things challenging for me in a variety of ways. Not the least of which was I always felt weird trying to say happy birthday to him on his birthday, right? So I would send him a message or call him, but obviously he didn't really celebrate birthdays, so it made it a little weird to celebrate his born day. I raised that only because you just mentioned so loudly and so proudly, which some women are afraid to do, choose not to do, that you just turned 50. Why are you so exuberant about your turning 50?
Because I'm proud.
Yeah.
I'm proud about it. I'm proud that I've been living like how I've been living.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I wake up with hope, and life's not over. You get better.
Yeah. My mom says to me all the time, she said, baby, the only way you don't live to die old is that you die young. You don't live to get old because you die young. So she is like you. She's very, very celebratory about her advancing age.
Yeah.
I just kind of jumped out at me. I said, Marta, I just jumped out there. I just turned 50, Tavis, and just put it out there. And I could hear the excitement in your voice about that. When we come forward, our remaining moments on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
When breaking news happens, keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580.
So pleased to announce that the 43rd mayor of the city of Los Angeles is on the phone. Mayor Karen Bass, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Dominique?
Good. You must be incredibly swamped right now, and I appreciate you checking in. It's indefinitely what we're hearing, that the 10 freeway to be down?
Yes, that is the case. All of those travel apps, pay attention to those. As we get information, they've been uploaded right away. So those maps should be accurate. But we actually are trying to tell people to stay on freeways, to follow the route, because our streets can't handle 300,000. Yeah. Our streets would be parking lots. There is metro, there is public transportation. So they're increasing the frequency of trains and increasing the frequency of buses. So you can go to 511 and learn about metro. You can go to emergency.lacity.gov to learn about any information on the city. This is a time for all of us to stay together. We're trying every avenue possible. That's why it's so important that you reached out, Dominique. Always want to make sure that the KBLA audience is up to speed.
Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much. Godspeed.
All right, thank you.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer Wet Jet works fast too. Swiffer Wet Jet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer Wet Jet and just spray, push, all clean.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
My time, before I lose you, tell me about Live for Music. You guys are expanding and doing some additional work through this charity.
Yeah, this is our first program that we're starting under Live for Love, called Live for Music. We're going to, it's going to be worldwide. I want to see children that have the the heart and the passion for it, but don't have the means, I want them to send me a 30-second clip of them playing, and I'm going to hook them up with, I've got Grammy Award-winning people. I got people that teach at Berkeley. I've got some amazing musicians also from the Prince community that have said yes to give children classes via Zoom, of course, because we can't fly everybody in. And I'm really excited about it. And next year we're going to have a big gala, and hopefully all these people will come together, and it'll be a great thing.
Yeah. You sound like you're enjoying life these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Have to. The world is crazy, but like I said, you live with love and your heart. We have bad days and stuff like that, but I always try to look forward.
No, it's a beautiful thing. They started this foundation for when they were with child, with Amir, who passed away 6 days after his birth. And Amir is gone, and sadly Prince is gone. But Mayta Garcia is still here, thankfully, and continuing the work of this foundation they started together. It's called Live for Love Charities. Again, award recipients of $10,000 apiece, 10 organizations receiving that money. They will be announced on December the 17th. Live for Music is the next project out of the foundation. So a lot of great work coming from this charity in the months and years to come, keeping the memory alive. Mayta, good to have you on. Congrats on all this great work, and we'll talk somewhere down the road.
Thank you so much, Tavis, for having me.
My great delight. Have a great rest of the day. Appreciate you. Some breaking news before I get off the air here. We've been talking about this for a long time on this program, given all the Clarence Thomas drama, these stories that seem to come out every other day about all these gifts he received from these billionaire friends of his, and buying houses for his mama and paying for his nephew to go to school, and buying him an RV. All of these stories breaking about not just Clarence Thomas, but Samuel Alito and others on the Supreme Court who are behaving in ways that many of us believe they should not behave, given the seats that they occupy. And they've been pushing back the Supreme Court on this so-called code of ethics for the Supreme Court. Now, everybody in the federal judiciary has to operate under a code of ethics, but the Supreme Court has resisted that, and I've had a number of conversations about that on this program, and asking how much longer Chief Justice John Roberts could go resisting the call for a code of ethics, and whether or not the Senate would ever find a backbone to call Clarence Thomas and others on the carpet about their misbehavior, as it were. Well, breaking news just now, the Supreme Court announces ethics code for justices. This decision comes, of course, after revelations of undisclosed property deals and gifts that have intensified pressure on the court to adopt such a code. So they said a while ago that they weren't going to need a code of ethics, that they knew where the lines were, et cetera, et cetera. Again, John Roberts, Chief Justice, resisted this. Amy Coney Barrett sat for an interview not long ago, and she said publicly that she was okay with a code of ethics, and that might have been a hint that something was coming when she publicly, as a conservative, said she'd be okay with it. Well, now there is, in fact, going to be a code of ethics for the U.S. Supreme Court. So, again, that pressure got somebody's attention, and the Supreme Court acknowledges now that they got to do better. We'll talk more about that, I'm sure, in the coming days, but that news just out now. There will finally be a code of ethics for the U.S. Supreme Court. That's our program for today. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, tomorrow, Tuesday? Yeah, so Omar Epps is here tomorrow. Wednesday, Geraldo Rivera is here. Thursday, Nikki Giovanni is here. Thursday, Jada Pinkett Smith is here. Some great conversations all the rest of this week. Don't miss a single episode of Tavis Smiley. Until tomorrow, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome, everyone, to a Monday. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott is suspending his presidential campaign. Scott made the announcement in an interview with Fox News on Sunday. He said, in part, now is not his time. The Reverend Al Sharpton is asking the Biden administration to reconsider its plan to ban menthol cigarettes. Sharpton's National Action Network sent a letter to the Food and Drug Administration citing Eric Garner, a black man who died in